All right, all you devils out there, how's it going? Happy Friday. Sam here with you. It's the 22nd. Now, it's a little after 10:30 for me. I'm recording this early. I've got a dental appointment this afternoon. Got to get a tooth drilled. Actually, I cracked a tooth, so they're replacing it with it's a whole ordeal. Anyway, so that's why I'm just posting this a little earlier than I normally would. We're trying to keep this relatively brief. The TA is... So, with this primary count, it's just kind of following along exactly what you'd anticipate here. Now we're going to look at we'll focus on the primary. I'm going to take we'll take a brief look at the bearish alternate, which nobody wants to talk about. I get it, but let's not ignore it. So here you go. Of course, in Motive Wave, we've looked at this a couple of times, and what's most striking here, and we've talked about this last couple of weeks, is how this channel is. We've got this beautiful impulse off of this channel, and, as I referenced last week, leaving one out here in the cold by itself. It doesn't destroy the count. It's just somewhat unusual. Now, granted, this is exaggerated by the COVID, free fall here. It's interesting. Of course, when we look at it, if we look at it here on TradingView here, where we're using a set of median lines, you've got to really. It frames the whole thing, but you feel the lack of balance over there, right? You can just see it. Right? So we'll track back to that in a second here. Now this, as we, let me get my recording. There we go. So as this sits here, I know it's a little tricky to see it in there, but it's pretty straightforward. 1, 2, right? If, and a big assumption here, if this is the third, and we have indeed put in the 4 here. Well, let's go down to a 4-hour here. We can do it, and this, I think, is there's a number of ways to count this. I prefer this. I like this count. I think it cleans it up rather nicely without the dramatic distortions. So we'd go WX, and we'd finish with the Y here with a slight truncation off of this being the lower low, right? But coming off of that here, it's not the cleanest, but it works. So 1, 2, we get the extension in the 1. That's not terribly uncommon. So we get our 5 here. Clear 3. Now coming off of this, heading up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So this is, of course, I tell you guys this all the time, but so here's the classic breakout, right? That's rejected. Now it's coming down. So this I don't know how many times I can tell you guys here, but a bunch of people bought this, right? So you have a combination of things happening here. You have stops being run, which creates liquidity, right? So bears can use that to their advantage. And then you've got the classic retail. They don't know any better. It's not to. I'm not saying they're not intelligent. They're just inexperienced, right? This is a horrible spot to enter any market ever, right? Many disagree with me there, right? Equity traders, you can get away with it. Breakout trading, much more effective in equity trading. Futures, FX, crypto. It's just a sucker move, right? So hopefully no suckers here. Per that, right, if this is 1, 2, well, I got a clean impulse here, right? It's not too hard to figure that out, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It's not hard to see it. So you'd be anticipating, okay, well, if we're coming down for a 2, well, here's my prime zone for a 2. You can see how that might play into, well, again, if I wicked off here the 3, 4 here, we get a little structure here. So if we're coming back down into this range where we had a little, well, here's another, here's one, here's another one, right? Breakout. Oh, well, here we're off to the moon. Down we go. Break lower. Oh, we're falling to the floor. Here, breakout, right? You break out. Oh, we're off to the moon, right? Just over and over. Here's a double top. Same thing here. I can try and teach it to you, but I can't do it for you. Okay, so with that said here, so with this 1, 2, 1, 2, you're kind of in a hurry up and wait in terms of strategic location for the next entry. If this count is going to hold, then it's certainly it would be a primary count, but there is an alternate we have to consider. So off of this 1, 2, 1, 2, the assumption being if this is 1, 2, well, while it is long enough, technically it's long enough. You wouldn't want that to be the 3, right? So if you're a bull, you want this to be 1, 2, 1, 2. So you'd be in the 1, 2, pushing for the 3 of the 5th relative to the larger time frame. So very bullish. But I don't, I'm not going to sell it there. But for those of you that are short sellers, I mean, this would just be, this is what you're expecting, right? It's not like, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's falling off here, right? So you have, ETF hits, right? So up, but we get a new all-time high, and now as we drift lower, which as for an Elliott trader, you're like, okay, well, it's pretty much right by the book, exactly what I was anticipating. So for this now, if we can get this in a 3 to come down here to the 2, well, that's pretty straightforward buy. Now, I guess we'll cover that. Oh, one thing I mentioned this here because I've just introduced this more often than previously. This, without a doubt, this is the best technical analysis package on the market, bar none. There's nothing better, right? This is the Ferrari of technical analysis packages. But so you might think, geez, what is it, 10 grand? It's really, there are all sorts of different modules based on the type of trader that you're. Different ways you can use this here. I mean, it's got everything you could ever think of, from order flow to exotic Gann to planetary cycles to obviously Elliott Wave, just traditional price action. There's nothing this doesn't have. If you're interested in it, sure, I wanted to show you this here. This is now all we use, all of our links now, we use this little link tree here. But if you're interested, you can just click over here. That's a combination of exchanges we have relationships with. I should come back here. We have relationships here. This is our indicator site that's specifically for Ninja Trader, not TradingView or Motive Wave. This just gets to our website. If you're interested in our membership here, this is, if you're interested in harmonics, this is what I recommend. I recommend. And then here's the link for Motive Wave, bring you right over here. But I just bring you, if you wanted to check this out, right, they've got a 14-day free trial. Right, and again, the pricing will surprise you how affordable it is. Again, so if you're not a Gann trader, you don't need to pay for the ultimate package to get all the Gann tools, right? You might just be an order flow trader. You might be just an Elliott trader, right? So you can pick the modules that you want. I couldn't possibly recommend it any higher. Just a fantastic piece of software. All right, so with that said, let's get back to our big picture here. Now, I know you can't see it in there. We start here just to reference here this internal channel. Now we've had this little break, which is good news. Well, let's see. So let's I'm going to do that here. No, let's do it over here. So I think I've got it here. So this is coming off of the premise here. Oh, where have I got it? Here's the 4. I was playing around with that last week. Okay, so here's where we left it last week. So we've got an ABC, W, X, ABC into the Y here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC is quite good, quite technical. Now, let's see here. I'll take this off just to kind of back into it. Now, note here, I'm out of log scale. All right, so we've got, the range is here to where you could certainly consider it in log, but it's not a dramatic difference. Where it is different, where this would make a difference, if we're in log scale, the third has not gone to 100%, but we can't disqualify it as a candidate for the third because in actual fact, it has gone 100% the length of the 1. So that's why I do the analysis here in arithmetic. So 1, 2, we're long enough. You can't eliminate it as the 3. Certainly a bull would not want that to be the 3. So here's the, a little, if you're levered, right, here's a little, sphincter clencher, right? You're a little concerned, right? Oh, I thought we were just going to blow off and go off to the moon because of the ETF news. What is this that's happening? Well, interesting, where we're starting to find some support here. So with the recognition here that while we have it could be long, we have an extension that we'd have a 3 here, 4, 5, and this would somehow lead to what would essentially be a very short 5 relative to the broader structure here. So I think for most Elliott traders here would be looking at this in the context that we've gone 1, 2, and now it's 1. We're looking for the 2 before we go into the 3 of the third of the 5th, right? So here's the big 4, 1, 2, right? So we're looking forward to complete the impulse here. Well, we need a 1 to start it off, right? So it plays out pretty nicely. Now, there's some interesting little pivots in here that are worth noting. Let's see. Well, here, obviously, you already had a little bit of reaction there. So if we're coming out of this, the count here is relatively clean and straightforward. You can get a 5 in here, A, B, C into the 2. So here's my 2. I got a pretty good rip here. Now we had this little free fall here where so you'd have to call that the 4 because working backwards, I can finish with this beautiful 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It's textbook, right? So we get up there. What do we see? Divergence in the RSI. This is the VZO here. So we're getting into those hot locations here where you might anticipate a retracement. Sure enough, that's what we get. So what are we looking for here? This is pretty straightforward. We're just looking for that. Right? Just give me a 3 to set up the 2. So I've got the wave 1 pivot structure here. I've got this B down here. Well, interestingly, if I... Oh, here, I'm going to hide this one. Let's hide that. Get it out of the way. All right, so if indeed this is a completed impulse, it's not hard to figure out what to do next. If I'm spot on there, those are a little, let's get that right on it. Okay, so let's get that tightened up a bit. So, coincidentally, if we look at this wave 1 pivot and this wave B pivot, well, you'll note here if I just highlight those two, how that perfectly frames the location where we're anticipating our wave 2, right? So we've got some market structure here to kind of play ball with. If we were to hit it here, right, if we were to hit it right here, we'd be right in line with this set of median lines. So you can see this pretty clearly. So we had a little throw over here. So maybe A to the median line, B, C. Right, wouldn't that just be... Now, Bitcoin doesn't always play perfect Elliott ball, right? We've talked about that many, many times. But if you were just sitting here saying, well, what would I anticipate next? Well, here, coming back to this pivot might make sense. A little structure here, because we've broken this already. So we're going to come down here and find a little support, right? Bulls are going to defend there. A, B, C, bring it in, add structure. If it's going deeper, right? Nothing says it couldn't go deeper, where we'd get a golden zone here, and then potentially you'd have a golden corner here again, right? So if, and I don't have this, right, if I were to get that, let's go original, right? Then I've got a new set of geometry median lines here with which to target here, and I can kind of look at this and say, okay, well, if I'm going to get that big 3, well, I'm looking for it up here. So our wave 3 target here is at 95. So 1, 2, if this is 1, 2, now I don't have this, right? So if we were to get either a 50 or a golden zone here, it's going to be up here in the, well, over 90. Now this, so if I take the length of, so this one here, right, which again, members, I'm assuming you guys are all doing this. All right, this is more just for new viewers or people still working on their Elliott Wave skills. If I go 1, 2 here, and again, out of log, well, here's my high probability zone for 3, right here, right? So if this is 1, 2, well, that doesn't work very well with the count as it's developing now. So 1, 2, well, if I were to do the 3 here from this, right, that's not going to play ball, right? 1, 2, right? The swing relationship length doesn't work, right? So you'd be thinking, oh, much more likely I'm going to get a bigger 3 here where I might get the 2, 6, 1, 8. Where I so shit. Let's see if I can do it this way. I might get it along those lines here. Get that there. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Meaning that the 3 of this, if this holds, right, if it's 1, 2, 1, 2, this 2, you're looking for something much bigger up here. So that, oh shit, where is that 2? Oh, where are you? There it is. Oh, no, that's not it. God, it's really up there. It must have been in log scale. Let's get that wave on there. Where'd you go? Oh, where the heck? Yikes. Let's just take that all off. Let's just start again. I don't know how I got that all walked out. Okay, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's get that wave off of there. Sorry, guys. Lost that. I've changed it around. We've played with so many variations here. Sometimes you get lost, which is a good reason why you want to alternate colors and degrees so you don't get lost like I just did in terms of where your swings are, right? So that all going up. All right, so everything here is very bullish, right? So the basic premise for this count to work is going to be defined pretty quickly. Now, we had pretty sharp here. We could meander and go sideways a little bit here, but for this count to hold, we have to come out of here with a big 3, right? We have to get that 3, otherwise, if we start to break lower here, you're going to be setting up the potential for this to just be a big 3, right? So this could, and we're going to look at the bear count, but right now it's a 3, right? And it's technical, and it's, you know, exactly what I tell you. This is all the market ever does, right? Swing, retrace. Now it's going to break this side or this side, right? In this case, we break above, right? So we have the basic pattern of what the market does at every degree. It's just the same thing over and over. So 1, 2, 3. Now, do I get? So you might think to yourself, well, wait a minute now. Does that mean I'm going 1, 2, 3? I'm looking for the 4 and the 5? Well, bull, you're hoping not. Just as I was just describing it here, you wouldn't want this to be the 3. So the implications here are very bullish for this count. If it's 1, 2, 1, 2, then you know we've got to get the big 3 here to leave this pivot and this pivot way behind. So we can look at this and go 1, 2, 1, 2. Here's the 3, right? And we eliminate any of the bearish scenarios that are still there. We can't. I know nobody wants to look at it, but it's you know, it's just foolish to turn a blind eye to it, right? So we have to consider that possibility. Now, I'm going to look at it in a second. Oh, shit, I got to find it. But 1, 2, 1, 2 would be the primary. The anticipation would be whatever we're doing now is just correcting this last swing. All right, nothing says it has to come golden zone. Could 50 shit. It could do 382, right? Bitcoin in the 2s is a wild card, right? You're either going to get something very deep, very shallow, but rarely do you get spot on in the pocket. Well, I mean, you know, it does happen, right? So it's not that we would anticipate something other than this. Right now, you're just sitting here waiting, right? Patiently waiting. Okay, bring it down to a 50, right? I got a little low volume divot here. Oh, lovely. Oh, I'm coming to the golden zone. Well, I got a high volume node here where I can anticipate likely some support. There's the 707 right on the high volume node. So if we're coming down here, which I know nobody wants to see that, 54-ish would be the 50. 50, 51 would be the golden zone, right? That's not something to panic over. If it does this, that's what you're hoping for, actually, right? So granted, I'm as long as most, right? So, and bullish as most, but if we've got this coming down here, that's a gift, right? You know, if you're a bull, right? For this count, that's a gift. Oh, I get to buy it between the 50 and the 618. Well, hell yeah. I'm going to buy that. All right. So before how am I doing on time? But before we, kind of change and move off of that. Oh shit, where to put it? I think it's over here. Okay. We got to just look at this, right? I know no one likes to look at it, but here where, similar where I was, as we were just looking at over on Motive Wave, if it's 1, 2, 3, so here again, you see, well, here, let me pull this out of here. This center line is striking, right? How we've gone from the pivot low here and caught that little that little support here from that trend line. It's just remarkable how clean the geometry is here. Well, we got to consider this count. It's not my primary, but I'm again, you want to have this somewhere. So of course the premise being we did some sort of a ABC, as you call it. So this right now, that still could be an X, right? We'd look for a Y to come down here and balance this out to get us over here in this other side of the channel where we're looking at a set of median lines or a channel here. You can just feel the imbalance there. It's not a requirement, right? This is not what I'm hoping happens. This is not what but as a technician, it would just be foolish to ignore it. So if we were to come down, well, see, what's going to make this tricky is if we come down here and let's say we get, so what do we get here, a 3 or a 5, right? So that certainly will influence here. If we get a 3, what are you thinking? All right, so then, depending on where it lands, well, let's say it lands right there. Now, zoom in a second. Now, if this is 1, 2, and this is 1, and this is 2, well, of course, we've got invalidation points. We're here. We break that low. Something else is happening. If we come down to something like that, well, you're going to be a little nervous here. Now, I'm in log here. I'm going to take it out of log here. But here we'd be through the 707. Let's come out of log here. Same thing. All right. If this is ABC, if that's what we've got here, and this plays as an ABC, we're coming down lower here. Well, again, we have the advantage of this count having an invalidation point of 1, 2, 1. I can't take out that low. So we have some structure here that's going to guide us in terms of where we're headed next. Now, what comes out of this? Now, if we get a 5 coming out of this, Well, of course, if it's 1 and we're looking for the 2, you're anticipating a 3. Now, I guess it would be to some degree how far it goes, right? So if you get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that, well, could be a it could be a 1, could be an A, could be the A of an ABC right here before we come down and finish this as a zigzag. Now, what are you thinking, right? So you certainly could have this. Oh shit! Here, let's come here. You could have a target here. If this is 1, 2, you could certainly go 7, 8, 6. Certainly 1, 2. Now, granted, right? The assumption is here we'd be finishing with a 5. Could we finish here? And this was an X. Well, it'd be unusual, right, to be that truncated that far. So this would not be your go-to. Oh, WXY if I get a 3 here. So this is going to be interesting to see how if indeed this correction is going to continue. Right now, it's just it's just 1 day, right? We ran the highs, right? So this is retail. Just getting reminded who runs the show in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How far do we go? Right? What does the structure look like? If it's a 3, then all the more you're wondering if it's a 3. Oh, is this the 2? Is it 1, 2? Right, we won't know till we get through that. But I just remind you that this count is still very much, you can't eliminate it. Can't eliminate it. All right, so here, oh shit, I was in log scale before. Really, you'd anticipate, I think I had this kind of drawn up here. Anywhere in here for that Y to come in, where you'd get the alternation, right? So I know this is the least popular count crypto Twitter, but a few people still view it. So where you'd have the 1, 2, 3, 4, so you have this sharp correction here. So if we were, that's why the triangle was and is still a possibility. After this sharp sell-off here, that we go sideways, so we stay range bound. So we get the W, X, Y, could be X, Z. Could do it in or A, B, C, D, E. We might get a triangle here. We could rework this into a 3. Can be done. So it'd be 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Right, it can be done. I'm just showing you right now. You don't see. I don't like to project too far out. So far I've just got 2 swings, right? And it's almost impossible to define which is which at this moment in time. And I know, right? It's still bullish news in the background. Market is in crazy volatility. We got all sorts of issues here in the U.S. government. Regulation issues, lots of things happening. The on-chain metrics still very bullish. There's essentially a supply shortage. So there's all sorts of bullish fundamentals. It's just, you got to keep this somewhere, right? So you're not taken by surprise. You're wondering what the hell happened. All right, so I think that's as much as we need to address this. The one other bit in here that I thought was worth noting here, let me just bring this back here. Again, I know you can't see in there, but that's not my point here. I just looked at the fib time, and these are hitting pretty well. If I open this up here, all right. So I guess I got to close it so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just taking the length of the 2 wave, and I'm projecting it from the pivot of the proposed 3rd wave. Look how nicely these are hitting. It's interesting. Right? So here's the 23.6 popping that retrace high here would in this per this count is an X wave. Then I've got the 38.2. Oh, it misses it by a day, maybe 2 days here, where we get the 38.2 off of this pivot low. It's not to the tick, but it's pretty damn close. Then I've got the wave 3 high hits the 50. Then I've got the retracement here, whether it's a B or a 2, it nails the 618 to the day. Now the next one up would be the 786, but that's at November 21st. Oh, pardon me. Wait. No, pardon me. November 4th. 5th. Where's the 5th? November 5th would be the 786. And here all the way out, last day of the year. Last day of the year would be parity, length of time of the 2 relative to the 4, which is, you can see how you can kind of get yourself back into something like this. Right, some sort of a triangle. Actually, it looks like it, if you were going to play that out, just eyeballing it, if this were the B, right, you'd anticipate something more like this. Right, which would put us, then you're off if that were the 4, right, just for time swings here. And you do the same thing. You do the same thing with the swings and look for fib relationships in time. You can see how that would balance it out. Could go a little lower. Now, granted, that's in log scale, so just got to keep it somewhere. Got to just so you're reminded of it. But interesting how these are. No, this is just one more confluence point to look for. So if we're going to, per the primary count, if we're going to pop up here and make this retrace, maybe the retrace is here at the 786. So if we're going to come here into a little 3 into the 2, put us right back at the center median line. And I'm here, and I've got another set of median lines here. Might get up that 3, 4, 5. Now we can say goodbye to the triangle, and we know for sure that, well, pardon me, we know for sure that 4 is in, right? If we get this, right, that eliminates any possibility of there being another correction coming. So right now that would be the primary, but don't ignore the fib time here, because especially when you see, now if it's just wildly off, then you deduce it, okay, well, doesn't seem to be having an impact here. These are just almost every pivot's nailing one. So keep that in mind. Next one up is the 786 at the 5th of November. So just one more tool to look for confluence. Okay, so we've covered that. Oh, let's down to the 2 hour here. Now, what do we got so far here? We're coming down to the 2 hour. So here's our all-time high. Now, as we were just talking, let's go to the 60. Sure does look like I've got a 5 started. We are, per the primary count, seeking the 2. All right, well, this isn't too hard. Well, that's a bit large. I'll change that. Oh, that'll work in white here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What have I got? Well, per this count, with this being a 1, right? So off of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this we've got a completed impulse here. Now we're just looking for the retrace to the 50. Okay, well, so if this is an A, all right. So we don't know that we're done here. B, C. Don't know that we're done. Let's see another. I don't think there's. Oh, this might be here. I don't think there's another way to count this. I'm just looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get you. You might have to truncate a little bit there in that 3. Because there's a 3 to give you the 4 here. So are we done? Well, impossible to say. This just looks like some structure here. We got a high volume node here. It's already blown through that. Now we do have a little divot to here. So just this is the kind of stuff that I'll do, just looking for where support and resistance are. I don't know if that helps you or not, but it looks like I've got to start. Now, so there's a couple of things here that could be the A wave, right? It could be of A, B, and we're going to get a C. Maybe we'll get a shallow, right? So if it's going to be a classic zigzag, then we're likely coming up here at the 38.2. It's not far enough, but that could also be a 1 wave. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let's play that out. All right, let's take this up here. We'll just go push these off. All right, so understand, so why would I do anything other than just think, oh shit, okay, well, what's the big deal? All right, so there's your A, B, C. Well, it's relative to where you're looking for the two. Again, there is no requirement that the market does anything. I can do whatever the hell it wants, right? So, but these are just tendencies, right? So that's all we get to work with, right? What does the market typically do? Well, so if this is the A and if that's the A and it's done and we're coming in for the B, let's even if we got a 1618 here, that's just ridiculous. Even if we got a 1618 here, let's just play that out. So let's say we got this and that was the A. All right, now we're going to go golden zone here between the golden zone and the 786. All right, well here's the 161 at the 2 here. So I know this gets crowded here, so just bear with me. If that's the 1, if that's the A, that's the B. Well, here would be the 1618 right here for a proposed 2. Let me just mark that off. All right, same thing I would encourage you to do. All right, so let's see. Does that make sense? Okay, now I'm going to come out of log to be consistent. All right, so if it's 1, and this is the A, the B, and the C is going to come to the 1618, which I just showed you here, although let's do it again here because I was in log scale. Forgive me. If that's the A, and we're going to get a golden zone B, right? We don't know, but let's just use where we know algos will be active. Well, here's the 1618. Let me tighten that up now since we're out of log. Right at the 50. Now, we start to put a few things together. Here's the last pivot high. Oh, shit. How'd you get there? I don't want that. Okay, so do you see? Here's my 1618. So if I'm going to get an extension, which the most common for the wave C would be the 100. Next most common 127, 138. Right? If we're going to go all the way and we're going to get a true 50, well now I kind of bring that in. looking over here, it's right. I got a little low volume divot here. So this you can kind of just see how this would play out. If that's the A and there's the B, well, I'm going to need a big C to get down here into this pocket where I know I don't have to think. I just buy it. We'll see, right? So you can kind of see how that's underway here. It's potentially is in play. We'll see what happens here, right? So it's very common for the market to want to be drawn back towards the median line, right? As a reversion to the mean. We don't know that that's done, but it's a candidate. Yeah, I'm on the 60, right? That could be done. Now we're going to need a pretty good rip here in that B to get us over here, but you can see how that could all just play just perfectly. Now again, I don't have it, but if that's my low and I'm going to get something up here, no, that might be the place to start here. It's probably too much to go to shift here. You're going to have to put a bunch of extensions on that because we're looking for this to be somewhat abrupt and quick if it's going to happen, right? This is what a bull is looking for wants this to happen. I know that seems crazy, right? So wait a minute. You want the market to go from 65 to 54? Yeah, I do. Because I'm not worried about, if it comes down here and we do this now. Well, all that's doing is setting up a spectacular buying opportunity because I'm not worried that we're going to crash here. What I'm thinking, if this is going to go towards the 3, I want the optimal location to be a buyer if I can, if the market offers it. Right now, as I will always tell you, you don't have to be sitting here with a limit order, although on this occasion, I think you might 30, 40, 50% of it here, be prepared for a reload here or to add to it at the golden zone here and have some location where you'd say, okay, I'm wrong about this. But right now, 1, 2, right, looking, reasonable target. And again, put the whole thing together, right? Don't forget to use all the pieces at every opportunity. Right, then are we going to get just algo target? Well, I wouldn't bet against it, but what are we looking for? We're looking for the big one, way up here, way up here. So that's the play that I'm trying to put together here. Well, now you see here, right, the pivots. Here's the 618, right? It's within that's on the hourly, so that's within an hour or two of that pivot, right? So if we're going to get that 786 here, maybe it pushes off a little bit further in time. Nothing says it must pivot here. So just look things to note here. Now, granted, we drew those on the daily, so it doesn't surprise me that they're off just a hair on the 60. It's pretty damn good, pretty close. If offered, that's a slam dunk, right? There's no hesitation. If offered. Doesn't mean it's a guaranteed winner. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, for the kind of trading that we teach, if you're not buying that, I don't know how to help you. I mean, that's everything we teach right there all together in one setup. Now, we don't have it yet, but you can see the start of it. All right, I covered the bear, the bull. I think we can wrap up here because we've been touching on these. Here's Ripple. All right, so here with these, we've been using these as examples. If there's any, I know members know this, but any new YouTube subs here, because this is a log scale, perfect algo swing here. So we've come some question, right? Is this algorithm participating here in log scale, right? So as I've often said, all you can do is use your eyes. Here's a perfect reaction to it. So it looks like that it wants to come up here one more time, right? If that's going to hold is the 4 here. And I think this is technical as well. All right, so note what we get here. We get that right on that pivot. So does the algorithm respond here in log scale? Well, here's 50 to the tick, and here's 50 to the tick. Now, we don't have any targets yet, but certainly you can see the responses here. When it's that precise, that's definitely software. Okay, so let's look. We had one more, was VeChain. Now, this has been interesting as well. It's just further in that same line of thinking. Is the algo here? Well, here's a perfect golden corner. All right, so there's your golden corner. We have not to target yet, obviously. So that's an 8-hour swing, retraced to the golden zone here, and it looks like it's 1, 2 again. So let's see if we label this here. It looks like that's 1, 2. And this looks like that's 1, 2 again, right? So we're looking for 3, 4, 5. Let's go up a degree. All right, just a couple of, I think I've mentioned in the last couple of weeks, these all came from live streams, right? Members submitted these, and I traded them as well. So let's go down to the 2 hour here. This is kind of interesting. Oh, in fact, a member who posted this we've been back and forth and watching this come. Interesting here. So we can label it here, so you can see there's a little tiny 1, 2 here. It looks like you'd have to go 3, choppy 4. Oh shit. W. It looks like you'd have to do it here. 5 right there. Oh, let's put that in blue. Okay, so we got a 1, A, B, C into the 2. Now, right, so this, again, the whole point of this was, are the algorithms responsive here? If I'm spot on here, so that's a 1, 2 tick front run target, right, reaction. God, look at these. These look exactly the same. Almost identical. Look at this. 1, 2. Oh, Jesus, do we have to do this? I think we might have to do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So this is a 3, so I can't finish it there. But it looks like I could go A, expand the B into a C. So let's see if we can get the whole thing together. So 1, 2, looking for 3, 4, 5. So that has to go up a degree, and then that means this one has to go up a degree. Let's go to sub. Okay. So 1, 2, 1. Let's put that in green. Okay, so 1, 2, well, let's check that. 38. Now, the algo doesn't care about, remember, the algo doesn't care about the Elliott count. It's just going to use the dominant. It's tricky. Not quite there. Look at the Vegas wave, right? It holds it perfectly. But we are getting to target here. So this, if I had to label that's where I'd be sitting. Well, shit, I am labeling it. I do have to label it. I'm in this trade. All right. So maybe that's a better way to say that. 1, 2, 1, 2. Shallow on the 2. This is such a cluster. I think until forced to change it, I don't see another way to count that here that would be any better. Right? So that right now, okay, maybe that's a 2. That's a 3. So you have to go A, B. Oh, you might have to do WXY. WXABC. You might have to do WXY. Yeah, shit, it almost doesn't matter. Here, look. Oh, you can make a case for just the price action here, holding this as well. So we've got our support. So this, that's likely not to be the 3. So it's kind of the same premise, right? So I can look at this and say, well, if I'm heading towards a 3, I need a 1, 2, right? So I can get 3, 4, 5. One to watch, right? It's been very technical, interesting, but I think clear evidence here that this algo responds just as actively in logarithmic as it does in arithmetic. All right, did I get everybody covered? I think I did. That's our kind of our roadmap there. This is what we looked at here before. Just a reminder here, hit that link tree if you're interested in this. I'm telling you, that 2-week trial will change your TA, right? It's not TradingView, as good as TradingView is, not even in the same league as Motive Wave. All right, so with that, I guess we'll wrap it up for the day. All right, we'll be back on Monday with the live streams, right? Those seem to be popular, so we're going to continue to do those. That's members choose the alts that they're interested in, and we go through them, and then if we have requests, we take those as well. But that's been popular, and it's kind of on the fly and a combination of looking for trade setups based on this methodology, as well as just kind of some review and maybe a few nuggets or lessons along the way. Well, so with that, I guess I'll sign off. I get to go look forward to having my tooth drilled. And I'll be back on Monday. I'll see you guys then. As always, you can always join us for free. Again, these links over here, let's take you to our website. You can join us into the free Discord or either of the 2 memberships that are available to you. So with that, you guys have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday.